Alright guys, it's Chatterbox Reviews, coming at you guys with the Deuce, Season 1, Episode 7 review. So overall, I think this is a little bit of a disappointing episode here. Last episode we gained so much ground. I thought the pace was picking up a little bit. Things are starting to connect together. We're, kind of connecting the dots here of what's been going on the whole season. Maybe, appreciating now, some of the scenes that we thought were kind of irrelevant or unnecessary beforehand. And just showed like how far we've already come through 6 episodes. But now this episode I feel like is just taking a step back. And I'm not sure why. I don't know. Like, I love some stuff about this episode. I will be honest. Like, there's definitely a lot of positives. But I just, I was expecting better, out of this episode. And maybe they're holding out for the finale and it's going to be good. I'm not sure if it's an extended one because the pilot was an hour and a half, I think, or an hour 20. So I'm not sure if the finale is going to be extended. I maybe have to look that one up. But if it is extended, then yeah, I think that's going to be a big episode too. And there's definitely some stuff in this, though, that does lead into that one and kind of build some suspense or mystery towards that. So that's good as well. But yeah, just overall, I thought this was a little bit disappointing in terms of, what we got last week and, what my expectations were going into it. So, anyways, I'll go over a quick recap here. Again, like I say, not including everything, but, most things. A couple of things I did I'm just not going to talk about is, the whole, like, Bernice storyline there. Or Ginger, I guess, and, Vincent and Abby going to the party, stuff like that, and the thing with Bobby and the one, girl. So, yeah, just some of the stuff like that, the smaller stuff I'm not going to talk about, but anyways, yeah, I'll do this recap, and then, of course, get to my rating, favorite character, overall thoughts of the episode, a little bit more in detail there. So basically, we start off with this one, and this does not follow chronological order. I'm sort of just, talking about things as they, certain things that happen in the episode, but, some things, they are in order of when they first appear, but then, of course, they come back later on, and then we get more fragments, so I just basically piecing them all together here. So if you get a little confused there, that would be why. So, yeah, we basically see that the parlor is starting to get a little dangerous, right? We kind of see the negatives of it. So one of Reggie Love's girls faints and has to be taken to the hospital. I think it was faint, or they said that she was, overworked or something like that. That she was exhausted, something like that. But anyways, I think she fainted or passed out or something like that. And so she had to be taken to the hospital. And then there was also, the 2 girls, they finally found them, that they were stealing money from the one soldier guy who came in that was, having sex with them. And we saw a little bit of this last episode with these 2 girls doing this. I think they kind of hinted at it. They showed it for a couple seconds, but I think you had to be paying attention to really get it. And yeah, so obviously that kind of comes to a head here. There's some consequences there. And then Bernice being scared, something happening there. I'm not exactly sure what exactly happened. I think that the guy, she was, wasn't comfortable with him, actually having sex with her or something like that, or she wasn't, and then Ruby says, like some of them just aren't built for it or something like that. So maybe just Bernice doesn't, doesn't want to have sex with this guy, because she's had sex before. It kind of implies that she's been working at the parlor for a bit, so there's no way that she wouldn't have had sex yet. So, yeah, I don't know, maybe it was just this guy. Anyways, that happened. So yeah, we see these, things happening, these things coming up, and kind of shows the risks, for the reputation of the place, really, right? I mean, that's all what this is about. I mean, if a guy comes in, or, other, girls want to come in and work, or even the pimps that, let them work there. I mean, the reputation matters, right? If stuff, keeps happening in these parlors, then people aren't going to want to go there. The guys, don't want to go there. The women don't want to go and work there. And the pimps for sure don't want to send their girls in there. Because, that's what they're all about, protection, right? So, yeah, so obviously the reputation matters here, and we see that effect that it has when the one girl has to be taken to the hospital. Like, just that instance is really a good representation of that, not even mentioning the other sort of 2 events that happen. And then you also see, the danger of, when Bobby's there at the front and you hear one of the girls scream, you don't know what's happening, right? Like, you just don't know. And that is definitely a danger with them, kind of locked in that room alone with the guy. Stuff can happen. So, for sure, yeah, it's safer than the streets and, sort of, going to a, abandoned hotel or something like that with a guy. But it also does have its negatives, some, drawbacks as well. So, for sure. And then also, creates problems with the pimps as well, with these new, parlors here. And that's what they refer to them as, parlors, I guess, now. So finally, we got an identification. I thought it was going to be a strip club sort of thing, but it's kind of like a brothel, I think. That'd be like a better description of it. But yeah, it's basically creating problems with the pimps a little bit because they're becoming, a little irrelevant. And they're kind of, we see that scene with Cece and Rodney and Larry there where they're, kind of coming to a head on this. They're kind of talking all about it and they're saying, obviously they don't come out and say it because, I don't think they really have the smarts to, figure out exactly what's happening. But they're kind of starting to see, I don't really have much to do on, weeknights. I just kind of walk around, I just drop my girls off and go home. And, they're kind of getting to that point, where they're slowly starting to realize, are they even needed anymore? Like, are they really, relevant? So, and my answer is no. I mean, these parlors basically eliminate them entirely, right? Because the protection whole base of that is the parlor itself, and if that kind of fails, then Bobby and this, Black Frankie are there. Or at least in this parlor, the others would have that too, with just different people. So, yeah, really, they're just becoming kind of unneeded at this point. But of course, they haven't totally realized that yet. And when they do realize that, it's going to be bad because, they don't want to lose their position and they want to keep making the money, right? So yeah, for sure, an interesting thing there. And I really love that scene though, that they got these pimps together at the table and to talk about this in that scene. I thought that was a really great scene there. So then we see Frankie meets Ashley, and she's Cece's girl. So we've seen quite a bit of her, but she hasn't had a big arc or anything like that. Sort of just been Cece's. I don't know, like he always just kind of takes it out on her. So I kind of feel bad for her, quite a lot. But anyways, so he finds her in the bar, kind of hits on her a little bit, thinks, compliments her and stuff. And, it's not, not pretty common for Ashley. And, she says that she's a whore or whatever to him. And that doesn't really affect Frankie at all, right? That's just kind of guy he is. So, and then they end up, Frankie takes her out to go see a movie with Paul and his friend. And this is a funny part of the episode, right? Yeah, the movie, Paul lies to him, as part of the joke. And it turns out to be basically a gay porno film, really. And it's called Boys in the Sand. So yeah, just kind of a funny moment there where, they kind of go to this movie and they're totally lied to about it. And it ends up being a gay one because, Paul and his friend, of course, are gay. And his friend was actually acting in it. So, that's why they were going there. And then, of course, afterwards, Ashley and Frankie, sleep together after the movie there. And then a little bit, later that, they're kind of becoming a little bit attached here, but they've only been together for, one day, not even 24 hours. But Frankie asks, Vincent and Abby to help hide Ashley from Cece, because he does care about her. I think that kind of shows his compassion that it does exist, right? Like, deep down, Frankie does have compassion. He cares about people. And yeah, I thought that was a good representation of that, to hide her from Cece, basically, so she doesn't have to go back to that. And he also, obviously feels for her. So then Abby, helps her out, letting her live with her in her apartment there with her roommate. Now, this is something I kind of have a problem with. Like, all of a sudden now we see Abby having this roommate and living in this apartment. Well, the last time, we talked about living combination, like, she didn't really have anywhere to go. She was with their college friends or something like that. So, I don't know. That's the thing with me. Like, these time skips in between episodes, it just seems like way too long in between, So, stuff like this with Abby getting her apartment, they didn't even talk about that, once in, the last 3 episodes. But she's probably been living there for, I'd say, 2 or 3 episodes now. And we don't really know it. So, yeah, really fast pace, in terms of that, skipping, time skips and stuff. So, I think there actually is about a month in between episodes, in their sort of time, or even multiple months. So, yeah, I don't know, fast moving story here. So, yeah, basically, Ashley's living with Abby there, and then towards the end of the episode, Abby actually gives her the check from her dad that she got at that, party or that dance that, her and Vincent went to. And, yeah, she ends up giving Ashley the check instead. Says you've worked harder than me, and you deserve it. And, yeah, I mean, a really nice thing for Abby to do. Really fits her kind of character there. And yeah, so basically she gives it to Ashley so she can go to Buffalo and escape this life finally, kind of get out of it. And obviously Ashley, wants that. She doesn't really want to go back to CC, or at all really. So we see Ashley go up the escalator in that train station there, and she's, kind of has tears of joy, I think. I would think that's what it was. And yeah, she seemed really happy about it. And yeah, she's finally out of New York City and hopefully away from CC and all that, sort of, pain and suffering there. So, yeah, I mean, is this the last we see of her? Maybe. I would think so, but I don't know. They focused a lot on her this episode and of her, getting out. So I'm thinking that we may see her again. Maybe not, next episode, but maybe in season 2 they bring her back for something. Maybe, I don't know. With this show, I never know. I mean, maybe next episode we'll see her in Buffalo. I don't know. Like, I just can't really judge like that with this show because I've been surprised before. With like the whole Darlene thing going to Charlotte and then bringing this girl back, and they showed a bunch of scenes from that. So yeah, I don't know, they've showed the location difference before, so maybe they do it again. I don't know, but I didn't think Ashley was that big of a character. I think I think Darlene is a bigger character than Ashley for sure. So yeah, but anyways, good question, right? We'll have to see in the next coming episode and then next season as well. So then Eileen goes and sees a client with this new business ran by Alex, who, is Harvey's friend. Harvey, kind of referred to, Eileen to her last episode. And I'm just going to say Eileen from now on because, Candy was kind of her street persona or her name. And now she's not really, about that anymore, right? She's just doing, this stuff now. So I'm going to, call her Eileen for now. So basically, these clients want more than just the sex, really. They have dinner at a ritzy hotel here with, this client, and, they spend time with each other there, kind of maybe talking on the couch or something like that. And then, Eileen also makes more money that way, too, right? With, being with these new clients instead of on the streets. So then after this client that she, meets with for the first time, or I guess not the first time maybe, right? This is probably isn't the first client, just the first client that we see. Yeah, so then we see her working for Harvey a little bit, helping him with the movies. I would say she's behind and in front of the camera because, she was dressed up, right? She was supposed to do, a scene in that movie. But she's also behind the camera, and of course, we see that, she's pretty good at it, right? She's kind of helping Harvey out, and, of course, we see that, her helping Lori out, really, and bringing out the best in her for the scene, with the lotion on her, breasts and stuff like that. Just, really, and then, telling them the positions and stuff. So, yeah, she really knows a lot about it, right? And she could really be, a really big help for Harvey. And I think Harvey's starting to realize that a little bit, right? Really, he really appreciates her. I mean, Harvey, this episode, it was just, like, hilarious stuff from him. But this was honestly, like, I laughed out loud for a pretty, like, this was really, really funny to me. So he's directing this scene, and, yeah, just hilarious, right? So the guy, he says, I forget his name, but, he says, okay, go in, my son, go in or whatever like that. So the guy, starts going in, you think, okay, like he's doing whatever. And then, all of a sudden, Harvey says, no. And he goes in, calling his name. He doesn't get his attention. So he goes and slaps the guy's ass to get him to stop and look at him. That was so funny. I mean, I don't know. It was just, like, so random. And Harvey's character is really comedic in the show. Really brings most of the comedy here. And, yeah, that was just a hilarious little scene there. Or at least for me. I thought it was really, really funny. But, yeah. he kind of starts appreciating Eileen a little bit more. And then he also, at the end there, he asks her how she got into the business. And this is kind of like what we're all wondering here. We want, yes, Harvey, ask her that because we want to know the answer. But of course, we're not getting the answer yet. So Harvey says, daddy issues. And she says, yeah, daddy issues, but, not the way you're thinking, right? So, maybe, I don't know exactly what that means, to be honest. I mean, Harvey, obviously is kind of like jumping to conclusions here. Maybe that's not exactly what happened to Eileen. I love to get a past. I'd love to get a story about how she did get into the business, and I feel like that would be coming after, they kind of hint at it here. So, yeah, we'll definitely see more of that. Hopefully next episode, maybe they talk a little bit about it. Maybe they have another scene with Harvey and Eileen. I don't know. And then another funny line too, Eileen says, you must be a degenerate, or only a degenerate would think that way, or something like that. And then Harvey, kind of looks around and he's like, I am a degenerate. Like, I don't know. It's just, another funny line from him. And it's kind of true. I mean, he's like a director of porn films, right? Like, I mean, I don't know, kind of a low point there for him. But anyways, yeah. So, funny stuff there, and definitely interesting stuff with Eileen, for sure, with Harvey there. And that relationship is building a little bit too. I'm not sure if it's building to, a kind of a romantic standpoint. I don't think so. But just sort of more of a friend-based sort of relationship there. So then we also see some more of the cops, point of view here, which I love. I've said that before. I love the two dynamics with the regular people and then also the cops, and kind of behind the scenes of how they interact with what's happening and how they react. So the 14th district gets a new commanding officer, and I believe this is the right name, but I think Kilpatrick was the old guy's name, who, went into Vincent's bar, asked him for the money, and then went into the parlor with Bobby and asked for money or whatever, the really corrupt guy. And apparently now he's gone. So I don't know exactly what that means. And then also we see this new commanding officer guy. I didn't get his name, but the new guy asked Alston to take him on a tour of the district, right? To kind of get him familiar with stuff. And seems like he trusts him, right? In the car, they have that conversation. It was a little confusing to me. I didn't understand exactly what they were saying, the grass eating and the meat eater and the grass eater. I'm not exactly sure, what all that meant. I think we're going to get a better explanation coming. But to me, at least, he seems like a good guy who's maybe trying to get to the bottom of the corruption going on. He seems like he's on the right end of things. And, he asks, Alston about these questions, and he says, you can be honest, I want the real answer to these questions. So he obviously knows that something is going on, shady is going on here. And he doesn't seem like he's going along with it like, all the other guys. He seems like he's, a little bit different. And he might change a lot of things up here. So, definitely, I think a big moment here to have this new guy come in. Maybe he even knows what Kilpatrick was doing, and that's why Kilpatrick has been replaced now. I don't know. Might be. I didn't really get a lot from it. I don't think they really exposed a lot of information there. So maybe we'll learn more about that in the future. But a good scene there with Alston and him in the car. I thought that was a really good scene there as well. A lot of good scenes in this episode, I will be honest, for sure. That's just part of the, the positives of the show, really. I shouldn't say this episode. I mean, the scenes are great throughout the show as well. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. I think that is going to play a big part, going into Season 2 as well. Then Frankie is asked by Rudy to look over things about these, lack for a better term, jack-off stations, really. I mean, I don't know what else you'd call them, or I guess they said personal movie theater or something like, I don't know. Okay, sure, personal movie theater sounds good to me. But yeah, basically, I think the idea was Frankie and Big Mike's. I think they both came up with this. And so, yeah, I mean, he kind of proposed it to Rudy, and then Rudy, we see him propose it to the guys at the beginning. They kind of dig it, they're kind of, okay, it's not bad, right? And so they're kind of open to it. So, yeah, he kind of puts Frankie on overseeing things with this, kind of idea or this project. And Frankie actually goes with some other guys to see a construction guy or the company there, and talk to him about the building and the dimensions and the stuff he needs and whatever, possibilities. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting, right? I mean, let's see where that goes. I think it's just kind of a funny thing right now. But I mean, if it becomes serious, maybe they add this in the parlor. Maybe they put up these machines. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what's gonna happen. But yeah, anyways, really curious about where that's going. And I don't think it's a big storyline, but I just thought I'd mention it because it was, it's kind of funny at this point. But I think it is going to come back next episode and, in season 2 as well. So then, this was, probably the best part of the whole episode here. Not at the beginning, but at the end. Really surprising ending for this one. And, you guys are probably like, is he going to talk about it? Yes, I am. So yeah, Reggie Love played a big part in this episode. So basically, he comes in the bar and he's angry at Vincent for what happened to his girl, right? His girl is the one who faints at the beginning. And Vincent tells him, he has no involvement in the parlor, tells him to go talk to Bobby or someone there. And that's so true, right? We're reminded of that fact that Vincent has totally removed himself from that parlor since Bobby has decided to take over and oversee things there. So, yeah, I mean, pretty smart move there by Vincent, right? To kind of disenfranchise, that whole part and just focus on his bar. I mean, that's going to help him out legally, too. So, yeah, really smart decision there. We're kind of reminded of that as well. So, yeah, but basically then Reggie Love, he then takes it, out on one of his girls in the diner. Says that she has to work double now because this other girl, has fainted and she can't work. She's in the hospital. So, yeah, we kind of, see this, happening. And we've seen it a little bit before with Reggie Love kind of being abusive to his girls. And the waiter kind of feels sorry for the girl, and the waiter kind of plays a big part in this. And I didn't get his name, but yeah, I mean, he kind of feels sorry for her. We can see that, he definitely feels for her in a way. And that resentment is developing a little bit for Reggie, right? In the waiter's point of view, he's kind of, looking at Reggie a certain way, kind of, views him as, a little bit of a villain, I guess, right? To these girls, and he does care about these girls, a lot more than these pimps do. So for sure, and he knows a lot of stuff too from owning this diner and working there. He knows a lot of the stuff that goes on. So for sure, he's kind of inside information there. So then Reggie learns about the money stealing that one of his girls was doing, and that's just kind of where it really goes crazy, right? He just he really can't handle it, and he gives the girl a black eye. Kind of, I guess, beats her, right, for stealing money here and not giving him his cut or something like that. So he actually, leaves the girl, at the table or whatever and leaves her. And the waiter comes over and, lifts her sunglasses off, sees the black eye. And again, this is kind of just developing this, resentment. He, really doesn't like Reggie Love. He hates the way that, he's abusing her. And he's, kind of developing that, move of action, right? So then we see the straw that, broke the camel's back. I love that saying. But yeah, that's what happened, really. I mean, the waiter, makes the girl's favorite meal then towards, it is the end of the episode where she comes in. He makes her favorite meal that she was talking about. And finally, she's able to eat it. And, she starts, I guess, eating it, I guess. And then all of a sudden, Reggie Love comes in the front door. And at this point, you see Reggie Love coming in and you're like, something is gotta happen. I mean, this is going to be an awesome scene. Like, what is going to happen, right? That's how I felt right away. I saw that hat in the little reflection on the front door, and I'm like, man, something is going to happen here. Like, what is going to go down? So he comes in, and he's really mad at the girl, and he's, just keeps abusing her, relentlessly. He grabs the girl even. Is forcing her out of her seat, tells her that she has to start working, that she has to get out and, that she's already late or something like that. And then the waiter, says she has a plate of food or something like that. And Reggie Love just, isn't having it. He said, was I talking to you? Uses some, language, of course, but, was I talking to you? You're not part of this, and a lot of the pimps disrespect him as well, right? So you kind of see this resentment, and we've seen it build up throughout the whole episode. So really great job in developing this. And yeah, basically, I mean, Reggie's getting this girl to get up. The waiter just can't take it anymore. And you see, this breaking point for him. He pulls out, his gun from the, under the counter and shoots Reggie Love right there in the diner in front of this girl that's sitting there. And yeah, Reggie falls back, starts bleeding out on the floor. Some of the customers, got out right away. I mean, crazy, right? I mean, I just didn't expect this at all. My jaw kind of dropped. I was like, what? Like, this is crazy. This is like the first big action stuff that we've seen with this show. The first kind of, character death. So, yeah, really crazy ending to this episode. And, kind of the funny part of this whole thing then is the waiter kind of nonchalantly calls in, I just shot this guy, come and get, the body sort of thing, right? And I mean, it's kind of funny, but I don't know exactly what's going to happen to the waiter. Maybe he says, it was self-defense or something and he was defending the girl. And I definitely would get that. I don't think then he would, be, liable or charged or anything like that or go to prison. But yeah, so definitely just kind of a funny thing there that he calls it in, so nonchalantly and kind of, plays it off. But yeah, and then the girl kind of runs out too because she's a little scared after, what he just did to him. So crazy stuff. I mean, my prediction, I think he's dead. I think Reggie Love is gone. I think the shot was too much and he lost so much blood there on the floor. I don't think he's going to live. So yeah, Reggie Love killed off here at the end of the episode. Crazy ending. I really love that. That was probably the best part of the episode for me personally. So that just does it for the recap there. Like I said, I left a couple things out, but, cover the main stuff there. And what a great ending. So anyways, now I get to my rating, some thoughts, and favorite character. So my rating for this episode is going to be a 4.3 out of 5. Yeah, it wasn't my favorite episode. Like I said at the beginning, I thought it was a little bit disappointing with the ground we covered last episode and the momentum that we were starting to build. I felt like this one, we're kind of here, we're going up and up, and then this one kind of came down again and, kind of, went back to, what the early part of the season was, which is a little bit disappointing to me. I really expected more, and maybe that's my fault for going in with, really high expectations as well. Could be. But yeah, I thought the first half of this episode was honestly really, quite boring. I thought it was, not really entertaining that much. Thought it was like, okay, stuff's happening. The whole movie thing, I'm like, okay. I mean, Ashley and Frankie, okay. Stuff just like decent, right? It was okay. But the second half was definitely better. And honestly, the whole episode was that second half. It would have been one of my favorite episodes of the season. I mean, the second half just really brought this episode up, and I'm not sure what exactly happened in that first half. It just kind of died out, and then, all of a sudden, the sort of the, I don't know, I'd say like the 20-minute left mark, so maybe the 40-minute mark in, was when it started to get better and then, picked up the pace a little bit. So, yeah, I mean, the waiter killing Reggie Love was so satisfying, right? We see Reggie Love abusing these girls, and this girl in particular, over and over again with no consequences. And finally, I mean, it's severe consequences, but it's what, kind of had to be done, and the waiter ends up killing him. So, or, presumably. So, yeah, crazy stuff there, but really satisfying at the end of the day. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought this episode kind of brought the pace down again, back to the slower pace. Even though the second half kind of ramped up a little bit, was better, I felt like it was still at that same, kind of slower pace that we were used to in the beginning of the season, that episode 6 kind of strayed from. So, yeah, a little bit disappointing there. Some new characters introduced for sure. The new commanding officer there with the police. Paul's, new friend. He seems to have, like, a new friend every episode. I don't know if that's just me, but anyways. Yeah, so some new characters introduced in this one, for sure. I mean, Abby's roommate, I guess you can count. She didn't really have a line or anything like that, so nothing big. But, yeah, so for sure, some new characters, and that's good. I mean, it's late in the season, but you got to start, building for next season as well. So I think that's a good aspect there. And I will say, not much Candy or Eileen or Vincent in this episode. A little disappointed. I mean, Vincent and Candy are basically the two main characters of this show, and we didn't see much of either of them in this episode. I mean, yeah, Candy had, her parts, but it wasn't that much. I mean, she did have some scenes, though, for sure. And Vincent, really the only thing with him was with Abby, going to this party. So, yeah, I mean, tough to say there, right? I mean, both of them, they are the main characters, and they didn't have a lot in this episode, so that kind of, brought it down a little bit for me. in terms of, me just wanting to, see them on screen. But James Frankie was in quite a bit of this episode, so maybe that's why for him there as well. My favorite character for this episode then is Harvey Wasserman, and he's played by David Krumholtz. So I haven't really seen the actor David Krumholtz in really. I don't really recognize him from anything else. I didn't check, his IMDb page or, any history like that. But, I really like him as an actor. I feel like he's the funniest guy, or I guess his character is the funniest on the show. Really adds most of the comedy in these, in some of these scenes. I mean, like I said, I am a degenerate and stuff like that. And he had some great quotes, in the last couple episodes too, apparently New York has none, the standard stuff. So, I thought he's just a really funny character. I thought I'd, touch on him in this episode. He was in quite a bit of this episode, really, basically all of Eileen's scenes. For sure they're focusing a little bit more on him. And he's becoming an important character, right, in terms of Eileen's, point of view. And Laurie, I guess, too, right? So he's, kind of our way of getting into, seeing, the movie, sort of aspect of it in the, the porn, industry, really, right? Or the start of it. And so, he's kind of our eyes and ears within that. As, we have a lot of other, people in other things as well, with Bobby in the parlor, stuff like that. So, for sure, I really like the character. I feel like the actor's doing a great job. The accent, is just awesome. He looks, he's just like a funny looking guy too, right? He's just like, his whole persona is just, is really funny. So, any line he delivers is going to be pretty funny. So for sure, he's getting a lot of, stuff, but I think the actor's doing, part of that too, right? I think he also, deserves a lot of recognition. So, and I mean, again, really great acting from everyone in this show, right? There's really not one person that stands out that isn't, doing their job. Really, really great job to the whole cast in general. I mean, when I talk about a favorite character, I mean, that doesn't discount the other performances, of course. Obviously, the whole cast is really good in this show, and that's kind of what brings it to life, right? That and the writing and the amazing production value and all that. So, anyways, guys, that'll just about do it for the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the recent support on my videos. I really, really appreciate it. We're at 7,000 views on the channel, so, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, like, every day it's growing so fast, so I just really like to thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it. Really, gives me, it drives me to make, more videos, more reviews, and I really, am loving, TV this fall so far. I'm just really enjoying all the series I'm checking out, and that's, that doesn't usually always happen for me, so I'm really, really, proud of that as well. So, anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching once again. And the Deuce, next week is the finale for Season 1. It should be a good finale. I'm not sure if it's extended or not. Hopefully it is. I'd like to see it extended. So we get a little bit more, storytelling there, and see some of the aftermath of some of the events that happened this episode for sure, especially with that, with Reggie Love's death, right? So anyways, I'll see you next week then for my review for the finale of The Deuce Season 1, Episode 8, and so anyways, should be good. See you next week.
Sister.